We'll invite our lady from Eko Hotel. You guys saw what Eko did during this Christmas season. They had the street parade, they had the magic land, it was crazy. Who had nothing else to do, participated, their families moved over. I even knew some of the tour operators who relocated their clients there. So if Iyadunni is on, please share with us.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
right. Gladdens my heart when you hear conversations about hospitality, tourism, and travel, but from several perspectives, and everybody's doing something. Hopefully, it's encouraging to see, because what then that means is that before we know it, this thing that we've been dreaming, the new oil money to be tourism is not that far a dream. I recently also met a few students, and I mean, there's a lot of them who are getting more and more interested in our space. And it also speaks to but there is there's being built with the efforts that we're making. So it's not all bad. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and somebody has to take a fall for the initial heat. And I work for Eko Hotels and Suites. I'm director of sales and marketing. Detty December is a word that I have personally struggled with, because from a brand and marketing viewpoint, I'm not sure that, considering where we this branding something so significant to our growth and tagging it, and almost slightly, I know it's the wit in there, but derogatory term like Detty, just makes me personally feel a certain kind of way. I think there are more creative things that we can call it, and I just wonder really are thinking about, and potentially sort of ideating on other options, because Nigeria and Africa needs to be very careful about the kind of narrative that we play. I'm sure there are fancier words to use, more, exciting, December in Eko Hotel in the last 7 years has been very, very interesting. And I would say interesting because I would say 8 years ago, you dropped a pin at the lobby of Eko Hotel, and you can literally hear the sound of it. That's how empty. It's COVID. We were seeing all the signals that if one doesn't start to think creatively, if you don't start thinking out of the box, we're soon going to be extinct. As soon as COVID came, it was a case of, airlines, hotels. I mean, we were the worst hit. And imagine that COVID even took even a little longer than it did. We might have been extinct. Looking for what is the light at the end of the tunnel. That was a light bulb. And when we decided to start thinking of ourselves as more than just a hotel, it was because Lagos was calling for it, Nigeria was calling for it, Africa was calling for it, but more than these people in something else and somewhere else. And I know that, it's we're in a scary place and time even right now. But with all that is happening, let's just take a look back and look at what COVID made people do. Think out of the box, survive. Where you looking at what is happening globally, just in terms of the wars around the world, the distrust in the West, and everybody sort of trying to take a share of all of this. I mean, Africa is here again, another opportunity presents itself. So we would try something out. And in trying this out, we would see whether, this was something that could take us to the next big break. We've sold rooms and restaurants for the last 50 years. What kind of experiences? A lot of us have seasonal travels that we do with our families. In the summer, you would typically go to Dubai, or and now I know a lot of people are going to Abu Dhabi and all these other places, but it would take. Imagine what first of all, what it costs to get there, what you get when you get there. I mean, other than the breath of fresh air of just getting on a plane and getting out of the hustle and bustle of Lagos. So, for you as a family, who's working a job, a 9-to-5 job, even 2 jobs, to be able to afford a holiday that consistently became mind-bogglingly too expensive. So for us, it was a case of, why don't we 70% of my clientele is corporate. So the leisure market was not as appealing to us, because the corporate business was just more sustainable, almost more guaranteed. And in terms of your revenues and your profit margins, the family business became a very interesting market. The leisure and family business became a very interesting market. I had done my PhD research. And my thesis was on Lagos State's mega city status, the possibility of that, putting Lagos State in the league of cities that are tourism vibe. To hear that even universities abroad are now studying that research, because there's not a lot of paperwork on tourism, travel, and hospitality, especially in the West Africa region. Now, with the first year we did it, we spent, I think, about 350 it was a weekend idea, and we had Friday to Sunday, check in on Friday, check out on Sunday. You had breakfast, lunches, and dinners. And we did a little, mini bouncy castle thing in the car park, in the garden by the poolside of Eko Hotels. 120 million on in that weekend fetched us about 500 million. So even as far back as 7 years ago, the possibilities of generating tremendous amount of money to who's going to bite the bull and just go ahead and just invest, and rip, and whatever time that takes, just rip, because the potential is very clear. Now, far back 7 years and up to where we are today. Last year, we hosted about 8,000 people, on a family package within the space of, I would say, 12 to 13 days. And package. Today, we're doing 5-day packages at Christmas. We're doing 7-day packages for Christmas. We're doing 4-day packages in the New Year. And we're doing long holiday packages of 11 days and 13 days. Now, why have we increasing? The audience is increasing, and the need of the audience is also increasing. You have people now, our audience used to be locals in Lagos. And by the second year, we started seeing people coming from Port Harcourt, Abuja, Benin. A holiday. And then as we progressed, you started having people, Africans in the diaspora. You started having Americans who are quite frankly tired of America and want, to retract their roots back somewhere in Africa. They had tried. It's different. It's priceless. There's no amount of money you put on it. It's different. And those are soft things that we can capitalize on. And these were the advantages that we took. Today, we're not just selling packages. We're not selling rooms. We're not selling food and beverage. We're selling experiences. And our investment in to 1.8 billion naira as of 2025. And if you're spending 1.8 billion, I mean, imagine what revenues you're generating. It's beautiful when it's in stylus. I think if you think about just the whole ecosystem, one of the things that these ideas are lacking is intentionality. How we move from a weekend having to house about 525 people who curate the experiences that over 8,000 people come to enjoy is mind-boggling. Throughout December, you have one concert or the other. Everybody who's doing any concerts or, big international music festivals, comedy shows, stand-ups. I wasn't even at the time trying to sell to corporates. Were not the ideal market for me. The children were the ideal market. As long as you can do something for the kids. But in different times, your most family units now have both mother and father working at least two jobs to be able to sustain their family. If I'm able to find somewhere where I can take my kids to, have a great time, what they want to do, and come home really tired without being on tablets, and computers and laptops all the time. I mean, parents will pay anything for curating things that appeal to the family unit. And in the 7-year sojourn, beautiful ideas like Hakuna Matata Theme Park was birthed. It wasn't only because we wanted to target the family unit, it was also because the space host at the 12 to 13 days of Christmas. Now, in Hakuna Matata alone, outside the people who are coming for, the packages, you have walk-ins, you have up to 2,000 people during the season. Look, the potentials are endless and they're limitless rather, because of the potential of what December can afford Africa, right? We developed want to cluster everybody. I know that we typically have this idea where, if I'm the one selling or I'm curating, let me focus all the energy and attention on my product or but the beauty of selling experiences is giving a variety of experiences. from the diaspora an experience of a beautiful art market like Lekki Market or Nike Art Gallery, or a beautiful beach experience like what you get in Jara Beach, or a lot of the beach houses in Lagos, Cocoa Beach, and all these other ones. With Revive, there's some beach houses now that are about your total wellness and well-being. If you have experiences where you can even get them to travel a little bit out of town to go to places like Olumo Rock in Abeokuta, to see some tradition in Ekiti, in Osun State, the river that hot and cold water meet in one stream. All of these Ikongosi, those amazing things that of course Nigeria has, but Nigeria has failed to position. We then started to see that our audience have become regulars, but we needed to give them more than what they experience within our space. Bear in mind that in the course of the 7 years, we started to do Broadway musical theaters that were Africa focused. We started these were inspired by Asian Cirque du Soleils. And I remember the first year that we had actually brought a circus, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago now. I had gone all the way to China so that I could bring. I went to Shanghai to this Cirque du Soleil. I paid 180 US dollars to get a ticket to watch. And 70% of for that event to end, I went backstage and I was talking to every single performer. I'm saying, you know what? You have people coming from Cotonou, you have from the north, from Nigeria. And I, a Nigerian, got tickets and went all the way to Asia just to bring Asians to entertain my audience. How ridiculous is that? And that was the first and last time be done by any expert. And we as soon as I came back, we did an audition across Nigeria, across Africa, and we I think we had about 1,000. We shortlisted to 300 different acts, and we kept them in the hotel for 6 months. Auditioning after auditioning, rehearsing, scripting, building what this circus was going to be. And we had the most beautiful circus that I have personally been to. And I have been to many circuses around the world. My background, believe it when I say that we had the most beautiful circus I've ever seen anywhere in the world. Now, and I say that in terms of the quality of the act, not in the stage or the sound or the light, or we're just not there yet. Anyways, I guess the point I'm trying to make in all of this is to say that the minute that Africa starts becoming intentional about how we tell our story, the kind of value that people are willing to place on African experiences. And I talk about this with all due respect, talking about all facets of it. The things that we call voodoo and juju, reading, you have suits, people who read people's futures and destinies, but nobody turns them into demons from the pit of hell. You actually commercialize them, is what you. That has been bringing tons and tons and thousands of people to come and watch. About maybe 20 years ago, I went to Wida, and right in Wida, there was a church, a mosque and a voodoo shrine in the middle. Tourism. Do you know that in the voodoo festival in Cotonou, they are selling things that we don't even take or mean to be anything? Cowries, ears, snail shells, all the intentionality I'm talking about. Now, using a hotel as a case study in the last 7 years, it is evident. I mean, I've spoken about what our figures look like. Because we simply can't shut it down. If I told you that we were selling 10 truckloads of water and Coca-Cola every 2 days, I'm sure you wouldn't believe that, but that's a statement of fact. If I told you that we were killing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm sure you wouldn't believe that. But to tell you all of these things is to say that when tourism grows intentionally with the aim of moving destinations, one of the main things that needs to be crystal clear is that not only hospitality, travel, and tourism benefit, everyone within the ecosystem 500 performance. These are young students in, I don't know, theater arts, performing arts, or just people who have a job the whole of December. So, I mean, and that's a little, small, example, but across everything, everybody benefits. Your airports are full, your flights are full, than that intentional, everybody within our ecosystem can benefit. But when you bring people to Lagos and they have to go through your international airport and they have to go through all the chaos destination that you have. So the lessons that the lesson part of all of this for me is it doesn't take one business or one person or one tour operator or one airline to build tourism for the growth of a nation. It takes Arabian cruise to Mexico, through Los Angeles in California. And one of the places that we had gone to is a place called the Devil's Gate. I mean, we drove past this thing and it was, of course, my curious mind was asking questions all the way because I didn't see anything spectacular about this place or this thing. But we stopped at 2 different places that really, really intrigued me. One, young divers. So we got off the bus and we paid $5 to watch divers dive from the lighthouse all the way down into the ocean and swim out in victory. This is tourism. And this is all these people did. And there's a community of art of diving into the water because they're making money out of it. So this is the intentionality I'm talking about. Right across that was the Devil's Gate that I told you about. And by the time tourists, when they stop at this water diving experience, ocean diving experience, they would walk across the road and pee because this was like a pee stop. And the government then became intentional since they started getting a lot of tourists to cover that place with a gate, paint it, and there was lights on it. So when you're driving past it at night, you see the devil's head, and that stopped people from going to pee there. And it became a tourist site. And they had this story to tell. and they charged me $28 to hear this story. Intentionality. Now, when I started selling my naira per person entry, I got all the who. No. Look, again, it's a buyer's market. One of the key lessons that I've learned as well is don't be afraid to price what you have invested, you know. Don't be afraid to do it because everybody is not your market. Nigeria has over 200 and something million people. The sky is big enough for everybody to fly. So, and collaboration is essential and it's key in all of this. When we started sending people even to go to Abeokuta if you went yourself. But if I have to curate that experience for you, I will give you personalized concierge services. I will give you a car and a driver to take you there. And, while you're in the car, I'll give you cold water. And all the experiences that you have, you can explore here. And guess what? There are people who want to pay as long as they see the value in what they're paying for. My package is at 9 million naira.
Before you go, for last year,
you're gonna ask me
did you make money? Did you make money?
Ikechi, there's no way I'm spending 1.8 billion and I'm not making money. We made good money. And I'm not sure that I want to publicly be announcing what our revenues were, but I can assure you that to spend 1.8 billion, you know how hospitality operates. It means that I must be making at least, I don't know, if we don't make at the least 5 times that. So that you don't hold me to the bank and everybody starts looking.
Let me tell you this. Let me share this with you. Eko Hotel actually made more money than some states. The amount of economic spend in their state. Eko Hotel on its own, 1 unit, because you invested, reaped a lot. And the point you made about intentionality is the message I want to make money from Detty December. And I will want to get a copy of that, your PhD thesis, because we might actually need to send an extract of it to the federal government of Nigeria and say, look, these are some of the templates people can copy and people can use. So I will take 3 things from what you made a point. Everybody has been arguing. You sold to your audience, so don't come and complain that my price is high. Go buy some other person's product. So this is my audience. This is how much I want to sell, and my audience came and they bought it. But your figures are mine. Of Coca-Cola and water and the rest of them. I have an idea of how much you spend, and I can say that Eko Hotel cracked the code. But I will tell you this before we go. Danny, your GM, was the that was going on in Lagos. Ikechi, before we weren't getting people in December. Now my hotel numbers are picking up and that's what led me into studying what was going on. Somebody asked a question, Detty December, whose word? Mr. Easy gets the credit for that word. So, and Iyadunni, we need to thank left. I will have, because this was education, not just for the hotel owners, for tour operators who are asking questions. We all get educated that you came to this, you planned it, you executed it, and you reaped the benefit. So thank you for sharing with us. Remember, you need to be one day at Eko Hotel, and we look forward to a better 2026. Thank you.